Let's talk about subconscious limiting beliefs. So in a lot of ways, this year, 2023, has been one of the most challenging times in my life for a lot of personal reasons, which I've shared in my one-on-ones or group programs, my free soul life balance integration chats, but not really so much on this YouTube channel or on my podcast called Soul Seeker for specific reasons. If you're close to me, you know what's up. If not, reach out to me and I'm happy to support you and support each other, because after all, we're just mirrors for one another. Having said that, since this has been such a challenging year for me, back in the spring of 2023, I did this deep dive of subconscious limiting beliefs. And that is what created my passion for sharing this process that I figured out, because this process is something I applied to myself, which really helped me to overcome being lost in mental loops, keeping me a lower, denser vibrational frequency. And I call this process the shattering of the limiting beliefs or the old negative narratives. You've probably heard me talk about it before. If you want to check out a free 5-day challenge, it's in the description with this video. So here's the lesson in this video. I'm going to use Lord of the Rings as an example. I recently rewatched the very first Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, which I actually haven't watched in a long time. And if you haven't watched Lord of the Rings ever, get on it. Totally worth it. If you haven't seen it in a while, invitation to rewatch it, and definitely check out the documentary called Finding Joe on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description with this video as well, because in this documentary they talk about what the hero's journey is, which is Joseph Campbell's archetypal story of the journey that we go on in terms of a spiritual journey or this human experience, and how every single show or movie is based off the hero's journey. And that is a whole nother conversation for another time. But I bring that up because Lord of the Rings is one of the best movies that really fully documents the wheel of the hero's journey. So with that, this specific scene that I'm going to share is so special to me, because as I was watching Lord of the Rings the other night, there's this very heart-to-heart moment between the main character Frodo and Gandalf. Gandalf being the mentor, and of course Frodo being the hero of the hero's journey. And the mentor is always the guide to help the hero so that he can go through the tests and find his allies, the battles, all the things, so that he can alchemize it and bring the gifts, the medicine back home to the people. That is the foundation of the hero's journey. In this scene, Frodo expresses dark feelings towards Gollum or Smeagol. And he doesn't say he wants to kill Smeagol, but he says, hey, Bilbo Baggins, who I believe Bilbo was his uncle, Frodo's uncle, he said that Bilbo should have killed Smeagol when he had the chance. Now, Gandalf, it's a little subjective, and you could say maybe he shames Frodo a little bit, like, hey, you shouldn't have those thoughts. But then after he has that reaction, he kind of softens and he talks Frodo through feeling those dark feelings.
Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance.
Pity. It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them, Frodo? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment. Even the very wise cannot see all ends. My heart tells me that Gollum has some part to play yet, for good or ill, before this is over. The pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of many.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
And this is the key to get past these negative mental loops. So many people just want to layer positive affirmations on top of these negative, darker thoughts. But the truth is, you can't just affirm your way out of it. You have to fully feel it. So I really love in the scene how Gandalf kind of navigates and guides the conversation to be like, okay, that's where you're at, Frodo. I'm going to meet you where you're at. And I'm also going to help you feel into these emotions and at the same time invite you to think about just maybe this could be a soul contract between Gollum and Frodo in the place of the ring, right? What is Gollum's role and placement in everything to help guide everything in the way it's supposed to unfold? And then finally, what Gandalf says is something about it being an encouraging thought to think about how this is happening for him rather than to him. He doesn't use that exact language, but that is the undertone. So point being, this is an amazing movie with so many spiritual lessons. This is just one thing that stood out to me that really relates to the subconscious limiting beliefs, because at the end of the day, it is so important to understand that 95% of your awareness is based off of your subconscious, meaning that you don't actually have awareness to 95% of what's going on. So when we talk about shadow work, which in a lot of ways, shadow work is the same thing as doing the work. The only difference between shadow work and quote unquote doing the work is when you get to a door that you don't want to open in your journey, whether it's through a life experience, a relationship, a thought, a memory, a meditation, medicine ceremony, however it looks for you. When you get to this place where it's like, oh no, I don't want to look at that. That's not shadow work. There's different layers to shadow work. The fact that you are going within is shadow work in itself. But each layer of that onion is every time you enter a place to go a layer deeper, like entering this door that you don't want to open, but entering that door is doing the shadow work. So I think that's so important to make that distinction, because a lot of people wonder what exactly shadow work is. So again, to finalize all my rants and thoughts on this scene of The Lord of the Rings, the very first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring with Gandalf and Frodo, it's just really about sitting with these more dense negative thoughts, beliefs, stories, narratives, allowing your body and your psyche to process and accept them. In accepting this negative loop, you can process it. And you're not done there. That's when you use the affirmation, only after you have accepted and processed. So check out this clip that documents this process so well. And if you want to go deeper, check out the description of this video for my free 5-day challenge, how to shatter limiting beliefs. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next video on the Spirituality Simplified YouTube channel.